Big addition.
Hey, what's up you guys, TechChucker here, and today I've got a review for you of the Neca Aliens vs. Predator Chrysalis Alien. Now, when I first saw the product pictures of this, I was like, it looks kind of cool, you know, it's the arcade look, but then when I saw it in store, good lord, this thing looked really cool. I had to have it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and crack this thing open and take a closer look. All right, so we're gonna try something a little bit differently. We're gonna start with the sculpt and paintwork on this figure because this is the reason I had to have this figure. And it really is because of this chrysalis piece, or the couple of chrysalis pieces. If you're not aware, a chrysalis is essentially the hard-covered shell on insects and whatnot that when they metamorphose, I think that's the word, metamorphosize into something different and they shed that outer shell. That is what is on this figure, and it is sculpted and painted so well. They really did an amazing job on this. You can see that the base body is essentially just a xenomorph body. Now, I don't have a lot of these alien figures, but I feel as though the arms are just a little bit bulkier. Maybe the feet are just a little bit bigger. The nails, the toenails are a little bit different. Now, again, I don't have very many alien figures, so I don't know if this is new sculpt or just a little bit different sculpt, but the basic framework of this figure is, you know, we've seen it before, but there is an amazing amount of detail. There's so much sculpt work in here. We'll come in a little bit closer. So hopefully you'll be able to see all of this detail that Neca put in here. Just a lot of sculpt work, a lot of nice dry brushing, all these little details of the exoskeleton on the outside of this guy, just details galore. There's nothing here that isn't painted and sculpted. I love the way that this looks with the lighter blue on the top here. Normally I don't care for the arcade look with the paint, but this really pops and is another one of the big reasons why I had to have this. It just is so cool. I think they did an amazing job with all of this. Just look at the detail work on this chrysalis piece, painted with lots of different colors. Well, maybe not lots of different colors, but a couple of different shades of this bone color. Just looks great, sculpted awesome. The fingers and hands are sculpted really, really well. Again, just Neca did an amazing job. The tip of his tail is painted as well in that arcade look. I am missing just a hair of some paint on the tip, but not a big deal whatsoever. So I'm really pleased with this. I'm glad that this tail is articulated and it will bend in quite a bit of different ways, so you're not going to have any major issues with that. We've seen this kind of tail before. It is on a swivel on the back, which is great. So just overall, the sculpt and paintwork is so good, and they've got, let's just show you this face. Look at that. That is so cool. I think this is just amazing. I think they did a great job on this entire figure. I just love it. I had to have it because of that. All right, let's go ahead and measure this guy out to see how tall he is. Now, I've tried to stretch him out as tall as he goes, and he's coming in at just shy of 9 inches, which is a pretty good size figure. We'll go ahead and put in our typical Deadpool, who is about 6 3/4 inches tall. No, 6.5 inches tall. So obviously this alien is towering over Deadpool, but let's do a little bit more relevant of a size comparison. We're gonna go ahead and throw in the Mad Arcade Predator, who is in this same wave of arcade figures, and this is just a really good matchup. I love the paint. Both of them look really great together. So, you know, if you're gonna do all of these, this alien, I think, is a must-have for the sculpt, and it scales really well with your Predator figures. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation now, because there's a lot of articulation, and there's a couple of things that I don't really care for. First things first, some of the joints do get a little bit loose. I don't have very many of these alien figures, like I've already noted, but I seem to always get ones that have some looseness in the joints. So that's my biggest gripe. But on the head, there's a lot of articulation in the head, and we'll just go ahead and get started. Hopefully we can do this. It's not as easy as a Marvel Legend, but the neck is actually on a peg and a hinge. Now, looking up, it is a little bit limited, but he can look up that much, which is actually not too bad. Looking down, if you're careful, this guy can actually get his head all the way down that much. Now, just a note of caution, heat these joints up. Heat them up real good, otherwise you are going to wind up snapping this thing off, and you don't want to do that with this figure. He's got decent side-to-side motion. These shoulder pieces do kind of stop him from being able to look in all different directions at different angles, but you know, for the most part, it's not too bad. And then there is a decent amount of tilt in that head as well, so just note they may start getting a little bit loose on you. Moving down into the shoulder area, he has a ball hinge in that shoulder, and he's able to get his arm all the way out, about 90 degrees, which is pretty sweet. No upper bicep swivel, but there is a swivel at the elbow. Double jointed elbows as well, and that gets you a really good range of motion. Again, heat these up. Well, I had it heated up. All right, well, bummer. Guess I'm gonna have to return him. Okay, we'll do this side. All right, so, dang, I am bummed about that, but okay. Anyway, the arm goes in half, which is pretty good, which is awesome. Jeez, okay, I'm just flustered now because of that stupid arm breaking. No! Anyway, okay, moving on. Shake it off, shake it off. All right, so there's also a swivel at the top of the forearm. So there's a swivel at the bottom of the bicep and one at the top of the forearm. Down in the wrist, there is a peg joint and a hinge joint, and that works pretty good. He can curl his arm up, or his wrist up, and curl his arm down. Keep calling it an arm, hand. And then he has two of the fingers are on a single hinge, and that moves up and down as well, which is pretty cool. The one thing that would be cool is if they just articulated all of these fingers separately. That would be kind of cool if they're going to do that, but you know, I still like it. It's you know, I can't complain too much. Moving down into the torso, we've seen this basic torso before, but or at least the articulation, but this one is a little bit more limited than I'm used to with these alien figures. And so he can really only go forward about that much, and then going backwards is almost nothing as well. So that's a little disappointing. He is able to swivel side to side at that torso joint, and then the side to side crunch is also pretty limited. So it doesn't look like there was, you know, a lack of space. It just, I don't know, I just think it was designed not very well. There is no waist swivel, so that also maybe is a little disappointing, but maybe not, I don't know. Moving down into the hips, he's got T-jointed ball joints in the hips, and because of these bone pieces, he was really not able to do much for splits. I'm actually okay with that. I'm probably not going to be doing much for splits with this guy. He's able to kick forward quite a bit. He's actually able to get his leg all the way 360. Not going to be doing that, but you can get him way, way up, and that gets him those really dynamic poses, which is pretty sweet. And then he has a swivel at the hip as well. That gives you a lot of range of motion, so that's really cool. Moving down into the knees, he's got a double jointed knee. He's able to bend that leg all the way in half. And then at the top of the knee, he's able to swivel, and then not at the bottom of the knee, just so you know that. Down in the ankle, he's got, I believe, a ball joint. Let's double check. Yeah, I believe that's a ball joint. And he's only able to get his foot back that far. He's able to get his foot forward this much, which is pretty cool. And then there is a swivel as well, and mine seems to be sticking since I've already broken the arm. We're gonna try not to risk that too much. And then there is an ankle rocker that actually works pretty darn good, and then there is a toe hinge, and that gets you about that far for range in that toe. And yeah, it does go down a little bit as well. So overall, oh, we almost forgot. The tail, we already noted this in the sculpt area, but this tail is articulated. It is on a swivel here at the base, and then it has a wire, and this wire will hold and it bends all over the place. You've got a lot of range of motion with that. And then the last little bit of articulation, which was probably my absolute favorite part, is this head articulation. So you'll notice right off the bat that this head actually kind of swivels. And his jaw opens, which is cool. It's just a hinge. But if you kind of pull this head down just a little bit and pull it out, being careful to try not to scratch your paint. Now it can come out this far, but you can go even further. It might be stuck on yours, but just pull it and keep pulling, and it will come out about this far, which is amazing. I didn't realize this. I didn't realize this was a feature on this particular figure, and now that I know about it, I am so stoked, which is why I'm so disappointed that the stupid arm broke. But that is an amazing feature. I love it. Yeah, it's a little bit floppy, but you know, I don't know that there was a lot that they could do to get around that without having to sacrifice some of that sculpt. So to get around that floppiness, you could always stuff something in there to try and, you know, stiffen it up once you've got it in the position that you want. But how awesome is that? There's also, he's got the little guy inside his mouth as well, which is pretty darn sweet. So we see if we can focus that up. This is basically what we've seen before for the sculpt. It's pretty simple, nothing really all that spectacular on it. This one actually is staying out a little bit better. It's a lot less floppy on mine, which is kind of nice. So there you have it, folks. All of this articulation is pretty darn amazing. I am loving it. Just again, be very careful so that you do not break the arms off. And last but not least, accessories. This figure doesn't come with any accessories, which is a bit of a disappointment. But for the $26.99, I think that we paid for this retail at Target, you know, I'm not real disappointed. I think this is a really cool figure. It's slightly bulkier than the typical Alien figure, so I am really pleased with this figure, even without accessories. Yeah, it would have been nice to have had a face hugger or a chest burster, but you know, in the end, I'm still pretty darn pleased with it, minus the broken arm, which so far my Target still has a couple of these, so I'll just go return it and get a new one. Alrighty, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below. What do you think of this figure? Is it super awesome or do you hate it? I'd love to see that in the comments below. And until next time, I will see you later.